In the dressing room of the Fleece and Firkin in Bristol, a pretty famous venue where loads of famous bands have played over the years. I've tried to find somewhere with some half decent light to film this. It's pretty ropey, to be honest with you. Wherever you go, there's all these kind of halogen lights that just downlighters that make a nightmare to find what you're looking for. Anyway, this last week, one of the coolest things that happened was we did a time 100 in swimming. Which is literally, as it sounds, it's a time trial over 100 metres. And I had a funny feeling I'd do okay, but I smashed a couple of seconds off of my previous PB, which was done with a dive start. Dive starts are usually worth a couple of seconds, and it used to be 1:16. I managed to swim 1:14. If I show the screenshot here, those of you that swim will know that you touch the wall before you stop the clock. So yeah, I was timed by the coach at 1:14, which is a couple of seconds off, and it did get me thinking about PBs and how it can really motivate you. And I started looking back through some of my times over the years and how essentially the most important thing is consistency. I'd say over the last 7 years since I got my first Garmin, the thing I've been most consistent about has been my swimming. I've managed to swim whilst on the verge of illness. It's not fair to swim when you're properly ill because of the other swimmers and everything, but you know, whilst recovering from an illness or whilst injured with other things with my knee, one of the things I was able to do consistently was swim. And I think it's shown over the years that swimming is one of those things that obviously works with consistency, but all sports does. It's more about how often you manage to get out running and riding your bike rather than what you do during those sessions necessarily. That consistency is absolutely key. So if you can see from my times that I was posting back 7 years ago when I first got my Garmin, which seems like I've always had a Garmin, but most of us have only had them a few years, I guess, ultimately in the last 10 years or so. I started to look back at some of my times, and you can see from these screenshots that at the start of my kind of swimming, taking it seriously, I was kind of swimming, you know, 2:20, 2:10 in average for my sessions. I wasn't actually swimming that far. And in the intervening years, I've stuck at it and stuck at it and stuck at it. Got it down to the point where my kind of average pace is around about 1:35 to 1:38 for sort of, you know, decent distances up to kind of 2.5, 3K per set sometimes. That really doesn't come down to any specific sessions that I'm doing, because I've done a variety of sessions. I've done a lot of kind of heavy speed work, which is when I got my last PB, like full-on sprints with masses of rest. Into the sessions that I'm doing now that are a little bit more average. Not much in the way of distance, quite a lot of interval work, 100s, 200s, 400s, that kind of stuff, but also plenty of drills, and I've once again got a PB. So it makes you realise that it isn't necessarily about the content of the sessions all the time, as long as there's a variety. It is just about consistency. And that PB in my swimming, and then it triggering me to look back over kind of previous times and swims, has made me think about applying that to the bike and the run, and that it is about just getting out consistently, doing your training, having a variety of training, but just about doing it all the time, being consistent about it. So that's going to be the kind of main focus, as it has been over the last couple of weeks really. As I've been doing with the run, is just getting out and running. I haven't run as far this week as I'd planned. I think I've done about 25k rather than 40. But that's mainly down to kind of the storms and the horrible weather, and the fact that I've been super busy at work, which is kind of continuing a bit for the next couple of weeks. It's going to be a little bit busy and tricky to fit training in, but you know, we all have the time to do these things. It's just a case of kind of weaving it into what you're doing, isn't it? So I've had a good day at the Fleece and Firkin, listening to some great bands. I can tell you from me that the British music industry is in great hands, so that's good to know. I've been thinking about what I've learned from looking back over the last 7 years of kind of swimming and seeing those times come down. First of all, it's greatly motivating to know that we do make improvements, and sometimes maybe on a week by week, month by month, or possibly even year on year basis, sometimes we forget that we are making progress, and it's good to look that far back. But also the other thing that I've kind of picked up from it is that consistency isn't just about doing things regularly, it's about having them fixed in your diary regularly. And when I was running at my best, I did have fixed times that I was running, and I think that's the problem, is that I don't have that in my diary at the moment. I do tend to still run on a Tuesday. That's just out of habit, because I used to run with the running club then. I left when I hurt my foot, but I do tend to run on a Tuesday. But I think what I'm going to try and do throughout February is ensure that I run on a Tuesday, a Friday and a Sunday, and keep that in my diary as something that I definitely do. That's
that's my plan anyway. I'm hoping that that kind of level of consistency will just bear fruit in terms of the same way it has on the swimming side of things. Anyway, look, have a really good week. I hope that the beginning of March brings us some better weather, and those 3 storms that we had during February can do one. Kira, Dennis, and Jürgen, Jorge, whatever the name of the last one was from Spain, they can do one. Coronavirus does one because I'm supposed to be going off to Dublin in the middle of March. All those kind of frustrating and annoying things get out the way, and that we can start getting on with some decent spring-like weather. Have a good week. See you in 93.